I am 30, got married 2 weeks ago. I was married before, but it ended after I found out that my older brother Thomas, M34, got involved with my first wife. It was devastating because we were close and had a great relationship. I also helped him so much while he was struggling, and seeing how he repaid me hurts to this very day. I stopped talking to him, and mom and dad forced me to keep it a secret, and because I was too weak to argue with them, I just kept my OWM distance. Then I met my now wife. My family loved and embraced her as their own. Mom and dad treat her like a queen, which helped repair and solidified my relationship with them. However, as the wedding was approaching, they told me they expected me to invite Thomas. I of course refused, but they kept guilting me about what the relatives and other guests would think and say when they don't see Thomas there. I fought with them about it till the day of the wedding. Turned out they'd invited him behind my back, but I found out and stopped them in time. They came to the wedding looking pissed, asking what we were going to tell people when they ask about Thomas. I told them I'd take care of it, and what I did was take a moment while everyone was paying attention, grabbed the mic and flat out announced this, and said the reason I didn't invite Thomas to my wedding is because I was worried he'd steal my now wife, just like he stole the first one. I said it playfully to not make it sound so tense, but most of the guests looked shocked and started mumbling. Then it went awkwardly quiet for a moment. Then we moved on, but I saw mom and dad walk out while looking at me grudgingly. Later they started lashing out about how I just exposed Thomas and caused him to be shunned by the family in the most hideous of ways. I told them that I already said I didn't want him there, yet they tried to push him on me repeatedly, saying what are people going to say. So I told them the reason why he wasn't there in a playful way, but they, the guests, still got the message. Mom started yelling about how everyone will now look down on and shun Thomas. She called me pathetic and cruel for still punishing him and gradually ruining his life despite him apologizing and trying to reconcile. But in my opinion, some things are just unforgivable. We've been on horrible terms since then. Eta, my wife said, at least now they're off my back about what people would say about not inviting him. Info, how did your wife specifically feel about you announcing this at the wedding? I wish Op would respond. Several people have asked. NTA, your brother brought it on himself and your parents. Good grief. If that was how they repaid you in terms of repairing the relationship, then perhaps you are better off without them, and I don't often suggest NC. By trying to keep it on the down low, they didn't condemn the cheating and fully expected Op to forgive him for it. It also suggests they care a lot about the public image the extended family sees, which is also an R move when it invalidates Op's feelings about his brother and ex-wife. Info, what did your wife think of it? I think if my partner used a celebration of our relationship as a way to air dirty laundry about a family member and a previous relationship, I'd be upset. So I think her opinion matters. Not just average dirty laundry either. Making that kind of announcement at your own wedding makes it seem like 1, the new wife is just a runner-up to the marriage that got ruined by the brother, and 2, the groom is still totally fixated on the past. If I were his wife, I would have been livid to the point of marriage counseling. Congratulations to you and your wife. NTA, if they'd respected your wishes, it wouldn't have gotten to that point. Inviting him behind your back is just wrong. I can see how they'd want you and your brother to have a relationship, but your brother destroyed that, and it's up to you when or if you ever want to have a relationship with him again. Also, it sounds like they are probably more concerned about the shame of people knowing what he did, which is also not your problem. There were like a dozen different excuses they could have used. We are so sad Thomas couldn't be here, but he has COVID/flu, insert any contagious illness. They didn't have to resort to pressure and guilt. They shielded Thomas from the consequences of his actions by keeping it a secret, all the while making Op feel that pain over and over again each time he had to pretend. The parents suck. Info, how does your new wife feel about your stunt? Cause everything with your parents and your reasons obviously NTA boo. If she was less than impressed, then a little bit the R. That's where I got hung up. That announcement sounds so awkward and uncomfortable. It would steal all the attention on the wedding day. Like yes, people should know what the brother did, but I bet most of the guests will mainly remember the gossip about his first marriage instead of their wedding. Info: was your bride aware of and okay with this? Because F Thomas and your parents' pride, but I'm worried about it being awkward for her at her wedding, for there to be any emphasis on your first wife and that drama, probably the most talked about thing at the reception, which should be about you and her and your new love. NTA. It's amazing how often people wonder what will people think and then put pressure on the person who didn't do the wrong thing to sweep it under the rug. NTA, you just told the truth. You don't need to hide how you feel and what happened to protect your brother. Family secrets always create so much toxicity. Better to get them out early in my opinion. Good on you. Family secrets always create so much toxicity. Better to get them out early in my opinion. Absolutely draining and exhausting, having to deal with this on a regular basis. For me, my family always favored Thomas. Even when he's the one messing up, I keep my distance, but they come back every time. I mean, them for obvious reasons. You for your timing and talking like he *could steal your new wife. That must have been shitty for her to hear, that you don't trust her not to cheat. Obviously you were right in not inviting him, but ideally you should have told people, or just the family gossip, way sooner, and in a different way. Everyone's pointing out that Op is objectifying his wife, or saying she's liable to cheat. I don't think that's the biggest problem with bringing it up at the wedding. The implication is that his brother broke up their first marriage, and if it hadn't been for that, she wouldn't be getting married today. It makes her feel like a consolation/silver medal. A. He shouldn't have done it publicly at his wedding at all. And B. There are ways to phrase it to make his new wife feel valued and appreciated. Something like, I should thank my brother for sleeping with my first wife and breaking up our marriage, because out of that darkness came wife, the light of my life. NTA for not inviting him, but it at your new wife for what you did at the wedding. If I were marrying you that day, it would really look like you're not completely over your first wife announcing it to all your guests on the day of your wedding. Now, instead of focusing on the happiness you and she share and celebrating that, your guests will be talking about your first marriage to your first wife and how you guys ended it. That sucks for her and would make that day very difficult. Also, it was insulting to his new bride to say that he is worried that his brother could steal her. I know it was a joke, but the joke is implying that Op doesn't trust his new wife to stay faithful if the brother is around. Info: what did your wife think of your playful announcement? At least they're off your back now is not a ringing endorsement. It's not even that did not embarrasses me or hurt my feeling at all. Right? I'd be interested in understanding what new wife's close friends and family think of Op, and what kind of advice and support she received as a result of the announcement. Obviously Op didn't consider her feelings, or the lasting impact of ruining the wedding, because he's not over the tragedy of his first marriage. You're absolutely in the right not to have invited your brother, but making that big dramatic announcement probably did not make your now wife feel great on her own wedding day. He had no reason to make a huge announcement like that at all. No one was asking him about his brother. He just threw it out there, making it the talk of the wedding. Not how I would want my wedding to be remembered. Edit to at, it doesn't matter if he thinks he brought it up as a joke. He seems to keep leaning on that it doesn't help at all. You and your whole family seem like assholes. Who sleeps with their brother's wife then actually *WANTS* to come to the next wedding? Who protects a cheater and is more worried about image and *WHAT people might say than just having a nice wedding? Who makes a big show at their wedding to his wife's guests just to show his parents and insinuates his wife would cheat? If your wife is fine with this, great. But I suspect she's probably like, the F*** did I marry into? If this isn't fake then utter. Making such a spectacle about how your brother stole your first wife on the wedding day with your new wife is now what she is going to remember about the wedding. You could have just left it alone when left the venue. NTA your family sounds toxic AF. And honestly, your brother did you a favor. If it wasn't him, it would have been someone else. Your ex-wife was trash too. Sounds like you are much better off now, hopefully. and you gotta do what you gotta do. If your wife is fine with making that announcement at the wedding, not how I would have played it, but I don't judge you, then all is well. Your parents need to stop being petty assholes and respect your feelings. Sorry you've had to go through all of this. Accept your new wife. Your brother obviously, but you for opening your wedding with a joke about infidelity. That will always be the memory your wife keeps of how her wedding began. She deserved a good wedding, and it's not her fault your previous wife was unfaithful. Thank you. No one else seemed to think about her in this situation. She had to hear that she might have been stolen away, which shows she's just a possession or has no willpower. Info: was your current wife okay with you doing that? NTA: if DB Thomas didn't want to be shunned and looked down to, he shouldn't have got involved in his brother's first marriage. F him and F the parents. They should have worked more towards repairing the rift between their sons than fretting over what the people would say. Yes, you were very badly done by, but you dragged your new wife and her family and friends into your family drama. This was your wife's big day too. Precisely. NTA for cutting off his brother, but who announces an affair on microphone during a wedding and expects it to be playful and not make everyone uncomfortable. You ruined your own wedding with this unnecessary drama to out your brother. I'd hate to be your wife and have such an insecure and attention-seeking man for my partner. Agreed. I think this is rage bait. Doesn't have the kind of details that make a post ring true. Info: your wife was okay with this? Because forgetting your parents and Thomas, that was a majorly fed up thing to do to /say about her at her wedding. NTA: sounds like your brother is the golden child to your parents. It might be wise to keep your distance from all of them. This might be unpopular, but I'm gonna go with your parents are ass for trying to force you to invite your brother, but it was weird and unnecessary for you to go to the mic and announce your private business in front of all the guests. In all likelihood, very few, if any, people would have asked questions about your brother not being there, and you humiliated yourself and your new wife at your own wedding. Info: how does your new wife feel about all of this drama? Your parents obviously. You suck for making your wedding reception about your brother and your first wife. Despite what your parents thought, most of the guests there, your current wife's family and guests, your friends, probably a lot of your own family, were giving Thomas little to no thought at all. Your wife's extended family and old friends might not even know you had a brother. And then you made your big announcement. Afterwards, he was probably the talk of the reception. If you wanted people to spend your wedding reception gossiping and making rude jokes about you and your brother and asking your current wife for the whole story, good job. If you wanted them to focus on your current wife and you should have left it alone. Exactly. This should be the verdict, because he ruined the wedding for his current wife and he never should have kept the secret in the first place. Minimally because you implied that if you invite your brother your current wife would be unfaithful, and that is insulting for your current wife. Otherwise completely NTA, your parents are terrible. And he decided to publicly announce this at his wedding. He ruined his second wedding by making it about his first wife. I think except current wife and his behaviors at their wedding would be a giant red flag for me. Edit: typo.